Test, test. Okay, we are live. Sorry, everyone. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties tonight. I hope you've been seeing the first half of this game. If this is the first you're hearing of it, I am Dennis Weitz. Mr. Florian's been helping me out. Argos leads 22-14 at a halftime, so I will give you statistics from our Lady Lancers for the first half. Mallory Vernon has 2 points. Nina Sadak has 2 points. Erin Aish has 3 points. And Jessica Tuttle has 7. LaVille had a poor second quarter, making only 4 points in the whole second quarter. It was very difficult for the Lady Lancers. They've only had 7 turnovers this game. The same goes for the Argos Dragons in the turnover ratio. Just LaVille was struggling shooting the second quarter, and they need to change that if they want to have a chance in this game. And for the Argos Dragons, Macy Stricker has 2 points. Caitlin Barlow has 4 points. Valerie Resposo has 5 points. And the big scorer for Argos is Courtney Dunlap. And she has 11 points. Very controlling Argos team, to say the least. Doing a very good job controlling the tempo. Both teams like to have a fast and slow tempo. It's very difficult to predict if you're on defense, but LaVille was playing excellent defense the first quarter. Pretty good defense the second quarter, but their shooting got off and they just fell behind. Argos has been playing underneath defense, and the first quarter they were playing a decent amount of backcourt press, but LaVille broke the press every time, having a little difficulty a couple times, but did not ever get a 10-second violation. Very interesting game, I should say the least. Foul trouble is minimal. Argos only having 3 in the first half, LaVille only having 4, and the only player with 2 fouls is Shelfie Zeiger for the Lancers. So I believe foul trouble will not play into anything, but it is possible that anything can and will happen in Hoosier basketball. Some keys to the game for the Lancers is you have to shoot better. They struggled at that in the second quarter, and they started to let Argos get some easier looks underneath. They need to play more solid defense like the first quarter, because in the first quarter Argos made 2 3-point shots, and they have not made one since. And they just need to go back to what they were doing, the fundamentals. And Argos just needs to keep doing what they're doing, hold this 8-point lead, maybe stretch it a little, but they did excellent that second quarter. And both teams came out about the same time, right about now, 2:15 remaining. Very interesting to see what they're going to do in their shoot-around. Just going to be a very fun second half. I am Dennis Weitz. Looking around, seeing what else I can say. Just interesting game to say the least. But we do have a busy week for the LaVille Athletics. The girls are playing this game tonight. The boys have a game tomorrow, I believe. That is against Culver. You can correct me if I am wrong. That is just my thought. And then I know the girls play Culver on Saturday night, being their senior night, so that should be very fun and interesting for LaVille. LaVille going to be celebrating their one senior on senior night for the ladies. Lucy Zeiger being a very good and crucial player this season and other seasons for the Lady Lancers. Just going to be a nice night to celebrate her. Come out, have some fun. Just getting ready to start up this second half. Very interesting game. Our student section starting to get loud. We really haven't had any noise. The loudest play was an iffy call by the official that we had a bad angle on from up here that Riley Cox disagreed with very much so. But he was respectful in disagreeing and just said, I don't like that. It happens as both teams head to the bench to get a last-second word from their coach. And we will come back with second half basketball. Both teams are playing very well this season to an extent. LaVille has a 6-12 record, but in the Hoosier North Athletic Conference, their record is outstanding at 4-3, and they are 7-13 in all of their games. My apologies. Argos to inbound the ball, and Argos is 16-1 this year, top ranked in the top 5 for 1A basketball, as Mr. Florian mentioned earlier. Off the inbound, Dunlap makes a 2-point basket easily. Aish with the ball, carrying up the floor, trying to figure out how to spark the offense again is the Lancers. Having a little trouble getting the ball around underneath the Vernon. Outside to Selfie Zeiger. Deep 2 is off the mark, rebounded by Barlow. Passed over. 3-point shot is up. Resposo off the top of the basket being metal, which is considered out of bounds. So the ball goes to the Lancers. Very back and forth pace taken by both teams, one being very fast and one being very slow. Here you're seeing a little bit more of the fast-paced offense. Tuttle with the ball, trying to get it to an open person. And stolen by Dunlop, doing a very good job this game, trying to get it over to Vernon. Up and in, though, by Barlow. Aish with the ball, doing a very good job. Having some fun here, getting it inside to Vernon. Over to Lucy Zeiger. Kicking it out and pass just off the mark. Little miscommunication there. And good correction made by the official. I was questioning his call there. Tip by Argos. LaVille ball. Argos has outscored LaVille since the first quarter, 16-4. Very hard to handle if you are a Lancer. 4-0 run in the second half for the Dragons. And Stricker gets her first foul right now. Inbounding is Shelfie Zeiger to Aaron Aish. Aish trying to get inside, finally finds a little penetration, has to kick it out. Passing very well until a miscommunication are the Lancers. Very difficult. Just have to speak a little bit more. Don't know if Hannah Philly, being a JV player, gets to practice with the varsity as much, and just a little off on that sequence of events. Passing it around, though, and a miscommunication there by Argos. Saved, though, by Binkley. My apologies, Kennedy Binkley. Reading the name backwards there, my bad. Binkley with the ball, passes it over. Dunlop having all the time in the world, not being pressured. Argos trying to get inside, and does. Foul by Lucy Zeiger. And that was frustration showed right there. Push on the easy layup. We'll send her to the line and be Lucy Zeiger's second foul. Barlow stands at 6'2", compared to LaVille's tallest player being Lucy Zeiger, standing at 5'11". Or no, Jessica Tuttle standing at 5'11". Lucy Zeiger stands at 5'10". And her first free throw attempt of the game is on the mark. Very solid play by Barlow. 7 points for the Dragons in this second quarter, being all of them. And a travel committed by Tuttle. Coach Duncan might want to call a timeout, having some struggles here in the second quarter. The Dragons being on a 7-0 run. Almost a 9-0 run. Off the mark there was Barlow. Zeiger moving up the floor very fast, dumping it off to Tuttle. And, a charge called there on Shelfie Zeiger. Didn't exactly see the play, but I don't know if that was the right call. Not seeing the play, though, I don't have the amount of say as I should. Very interesting, to say the least. Argos just dominating the game since the first quarter ended. At the end of the first quarter, it was tied at 10-10. Out of bounds off the Dragons. 29-14 with 4:48 remaining. The Argos Dragons have doubled the Lancers plus a point. Tuttle with the ball, trying to find penetration. Cannot. Kicks it over to Sadak. Over to Aish for three. And first Lancer points of the second half go to Aish. 17-29. A lot of switches here used by Argos, being very effective for them, trying to get what they consider a mismatch. In some circumstances, I believe their mismatch is having the tall player underneath. And she passes it over for the assist. Stricker makes a short jumper. Very good game played by Argos. Very solid, allowing 4 points in the second quarter and 3 halfway through the third. And Shelby Zeiger forced to turn over the ball on a bad pass. Very difficult for the Lancers at this moment. And Stricker could not get that shot to fall. Argos just stretching themselves a little too far, starting to over-aggressive shots, and that was a bad look. And fouled on the shot up was Lucy Zeiger. That foul will definitely go on Caitlin Barlow, being her second. You could hear the slap up here through the headset. That was a very hard block attempt by Barlow. And just off the mark is Zeiger. Shannon Miller and Hannah Barlow do enter, or Anna Barlow, my apologies, enter for the Dragons. Zeiger's second free throw is also off the mark. Very uncharacteristic of her. Fast-paced, moving Dragons team, though. This fast pace is drawing open shots for the Dragons. Also getting some penetration now. Just off the mark there was Anna Barlow. Ace driving inside. Blocked by Anna Barlow. Fast pace. And a foul committed. My apologies, we're having a little switch right now with everything happening. That will be Lucy Zeiger's third foul. And Julie Hall will enter for Lucy Zeiger. 2 fouls this quarter. Inbounds off the back of Tuttle. Gets it, gets blocked by Hall, and out of bounds off LaVille. Good call made there. Mr. Florian is doing camera for me. I'd like to thank him. He made that decision. What are your thoughts of this third quarter so far, Mr. Florian?
Well, I double-checked officially on Max Preps. It's the number 6 ranked 1A Argos Dragons. Really just showing off why they're a top 10 team. Doing a phenomenal job on defense.
Yes.
Lancers just haven't been able to get a good look throughout this entire second half. I think going back to the very first quarter, the Lancers are on what has got to be at this point. It's easily a 21-7 or 21-5
21-7
deficit.
And Shelby Zeiger makes it a 21-9 deficit with that layup. They're still having some trouble with the current moment. Ball over, shot up and off the mark there by, sorry, we do not have, wait, my apologies, I looked at the wrong number. And a turnover by Shelby Zeiger, fast-paced. And getting the roll is Shanna Miller. Argos being very aggressive and dominant, showing their skill and why they are ranked so high in 1A. Off of Argos, though, and re-entering Macy Stricker. Exiting for the Dragons is Valerie Rasposo, playing a lot of minutes, needing just a quick little break to get a drink. 1:15 remaining in the third quarter. 33-19, the Lancers trail. Trying to get around the edge is Zeiger, kicking it over to Aish. Tuttle with the ball. Phil still trying to get an open shot from anywhere. Argos playing solid defense, not allowing anything. Off the mark is Julia Hall. And a foul committed by the Lancers. And that is Nina Sadak's first foul. 4 fouls against the Lancers and 2 against the Dragons in this third quarter. 40 seconds remaining. LaVille double teaming Duncan. Or Dunlap, my apologies. And getting over to Stricker, back to Dunlap. Argos looking to take the last shot. LaVille being very aggressive and stolen by Shelby Zeiger. Layup up and in. Scoring the last 4 points is Shelby Zeiger. Aaron Aish playing excellent defense, almost stealing that away. Off the mark, 5 seconds remaining. Tuttle with the ball, stolen. Foul committed by Tuttle. She's not happy. I do agree with the call. Just legs got tangled up at the wrong moment. And 2 seconds remaining. That will be Tuttle's second foul of the game. They're starting to get the fouls racked up, 5 in the third quarter so far. 1 second. And just a little short by Dunlop. 33-21 at the end of the third quarter. So if you are Miss Duncan in the huddle with the Lancers, what are you saying?
Make sure you have good passes. Make sure you're playing your assignments on defense and on offense. I mean, right now, Argos has been getting some very good looks, and the Lancers haven't been able to set the screens and set the offensive plays that they want. At this point, if the Lancers want to get back into the game down 12 points against an Argos team that has been absolutely stingy allowing offense, they really just need to stick their blocks, make sure they run the offensive plays they want, and limit turnovers. I think that'll be one of the big things in this fourth quarter coming up.
I agree. Argos has 12 turnovers in the game so far, and the Lancers have 16. Having kind of a sloppy second and third quarter. The first quarter, both teams were very controlled even, as we will go back to play in just 4 seconds. Vernon to inbound the ball for the Lady Lancers. Vernon to Aish to start the time. Starting off slow in the fourth quarter, just trying to find what she wants to do. Pass out to Tuttle, open look. For to Zeiger for an open look from the three-point arc. Though a little less confident this year than others, shooting 3 points for the Lady Lancers. Aaron Aish being the big three-point shooter. Ville trying to find penetration, making crisp passes, not allowing a turnover. 30 seconds gone in this possession. Vernon with the ball. Getting kind of trapped in the corner. Over to Tuttle. And fouled. That foul will go on Macy Stricker, and that will be her second foul.
Argos foul on 24, Macy Stricker. The line for the Lancers. Number 11, Jessica Tuttle, shooting 2.
Tuttle is 1 for 1 from the free throw line tonight. She makes her second. Tuttle has 8 points for the Lancers currently. And misses that one. Argos's fan section chanting something I could not make out. Just distracted Tuttle a little bit. 7:08 remaining. LaVille trails by 11. Good defense played there by the Lancers. Off the mark. Anna Barlow misses on the second chance. Ball stays with Argos, called out on Jessica Tuttle as Shelfie Zeiger is re-entering for the Lancers. Nina Sadak to take a well-deserved and earned rest for the Lancers. Ball getting passed around very fast and tenaciously by Argos. Stuck with Stryker for a minute. Finally got underneath with Miller, and a foul called on the Lancers.
Foul on 21, Lucy Zeiger.
Lucy Zeiger's fourth foul. And Shelfie Zeiger has 3. Very big foul trouble for the Lady Lancers. Having 2 players with that many fouls with 6:38 remaining in the fourth quarter. As Argos makes a rare turnover traveling. And entering, Nina Sadak enters for Lucy Zeiger. And Kaylin Barlow and Valerie Resposo re-enter for the Dragons, subbing out Anna Barlow and Shanna Miller. Aish with the ball, moving it up the floor. Kicking it over to Vernon, who's standing at the half-court line. It appears Coach Dunlap made a call. Or Duncan, my apologies. Duncan and Dunlap both on the paper is confusing my mind just a little. Good job there by Vernon, though. Good correction there by Mr. Florian. And Stricker's third foul. Argos has 4 fouls this half, and LaVille has 6. Just off the mark with the free throw is Vernon. 6:09 remaining. LaVille trails by 9, cutting into Argos's lead. And I believe Tuttle is called for that foul. We will have to get confirmation from the officials. And that will be her third. And the 1-and-1 will go to Courtney Dunlap. Shooting the 1-and-1. Now she is 3 for 4 shooting from the free throw line. Doing very well from that spot tonight. And that is up and in. Vernon moving the ball up the floor. Having Aish in the corner to start off the play from the free throws. She moves away from the corner. Ball to Shelfie Zeiger. Almost traveling. Good pivot. Just off the mark. Ball will remain with the Lancers. Last touch by Caitlin Barlow. A very good offensive series there, Mr. Florian.
Lancers have cut the lead to 11, but still need to find some good inside looks.
Caitlin Barlow picks up her third foul there, having some trouble with that in the game.
Barlow, as you said earlier in the broadcast, out-talls, as my old football coach would say, out-talls just about everyone on the Lancer team by 3 inches. And, Coach Dunlap has been doing a fantastic job of using her in the paint. You just park her in the lane, have her put her hands up, and she's been absolutely phenomenal on defense.
Foul, I believe.
Barlow will be her.
I believe that goes on Sadak. I can't be confident yet. Now I am.
23.
She pulled her down on the free throw attempt. On the box out. Don't understand that exactly. Just one of those fast moments. A little bit of a bonehead play happening, unfortunately. And she makes her first of the 1-and-1.
I think the foul in that sense is if you, and I'm sure this isn't entirely accurate, but you cannot allow or inhibit someone from getting the rebound on the lane. I think it's like a lane violation, but I think it may also have just been a very simple, very quick foul committed by Sadak.
Yes. Barlow now has 10 points for the Dragons. 36-24. Argos leads 5:28 remaining. Just in and out.
Lancers also have had some very unfortunate bounces in the second half. That one rattles on the far side, the near side, and they can't get it to fall.
That was as pretty as it's going to look and miss. And Barlow makes a way up there to expand the lead to 14 for Argos, having their largest lead of the game right now. Lucy Zeiger set to re-enter for the Lancers. Shelfie Zeiger passes the ball to Tuttle. Vernon with the ball. Shot is up. And good. LaVille isn't giving up, even though they did trail by 12 at halftime. Or no, at the end of the third quarter, my apologies. And Tuttle called for another foul, that being her fourth. If you're Coach Dunlap, you have to start being concerned right now with Tuttle having 4 fouls, Lucy Zeiger having 4 fouls, and Shelfie Zeiger having 3 fouls.
I think you may have also meant Duncan, Coach Duncan for the Lancers.
Yes,
with
I did.
concern.
Duncan. Having Courtney Dunlap on the Argus team, the names are just a smidge too similar. And up the court is Vernon with the basketball. Argus coach Gary Teal doing a great job as the ball bounced off the top of the basket but not hitting any of the support. So the ball will go with Argus off the rebound.
A little bit of a mental mistake there. Lucy Zeiger just waited for that rebound underneath the basket, just kind of stood there and let it try to come to her. Kaylin Barlow for Argus just reached on in and grabbed it. On the other end, Argus faithful don't like that out of bounds. But that's Lucy Zeiger cutting the lead to 10 for Argus.
Those are her first points of the night. As Courtney Dunlap has the ball, passes it over, and Argus coach calls a full timeout. Just trying to get his team a little rest here. Still up by double digits, having a 10-point lead. LaVille having some troubles right now. 9 fouls in the second half. Argus only having 5. So the next foul LaVille commits on defense will put Argus in the double bonus. Very difficult if you are playing on the floor, trying not to foul a very talented Argus team. The turnover battle is part of the main story here. LaVille having a poor shooting night in the second and third quarter would be the other part. LaVille has 19 turnovers. Triton has 15, so that isn't a substantial. Rebounding has been very even though Argus has the 2 tallest girls on the floor with Caitlin and Anna Barlow. But the main thing is just LaVille was not good in the second and third quarter shooting. The second quarter they scored 4 points. The third quarter they scored 7 points. Argus so far has scored 10 points in the first quarter, 12 in the second, and 11 in the third. Being very even scoring throughout the game, even distributing the points, even though they do have 2 scoring leaders for the Dragons at the current moment. Inbounding the ball is Stricker. Far pass in the backcourt. Well guarded by Shelfie Zeiger. Dunlap very controlling for the Dragons. Passes underneath. Caitlin Barlow off the mark. Saved. Pass back out. Dunlap up and off the mark. Shelfie Zeiger getting the ball. Passing it ahead to Vernon. LaVille trying to get some fast offense off of that Argos miss. Lucy Zeiger not doing that shot. Would have had it swatted back at her. And a foul called on the floor. That will be Argos' sixth foul, putting LaVille in the 1-1 the rest of the game. Respoko's first foul of the game. Vernon up with the shot. Bumped on the shot and off the leg of both Shelfie Zeiger and Macy Stricker. Finally called off of Zeiger. Stricker to inbound. LaVille doing some backcourt defense at the current moment. After the ball got in, they noticed they had one person unguarded, being Courtney Dunlop, and decided just to fall back and play defense underneath. Being very forceful on the edge was Aish. Shot just off the mark there for Stricker. Another shot off the mark. Rebounded by Lucy Zeiger, being trapped almost. Argos is playing very aggressive still throughout the game. Vernon with the ball. Up. And good for Tuttle. She has been leading the offense for the Lancers tonight. 2:38 remaining. 38-30. The Lancers trail by 8, cutting into that lead just slightly. And a push called. Don't completely agree with that. What about you, Mr. Florian?
I'm afraid I didn't see that one.
It just looked like she was starting to fall back on her heels, having Aish and I believe Shelfie Zeiger defend her, and she just kind of fell. And the ref had a bad angle on that one. Aish called with her first foul, though, as the first shot at the line will not fall for Kennedy Binkley. Her second shot from the free throw line. And in and out. But the putback by Dunlap increases the lead back to 10 for Argos. Driving the ball very fast is Zeiger over to Aish. Down underneath from Tuttle to Zeiger off the mark. LaVille trying anything and everything to get back in the game and decrease the gap. With 2 minutes and 8 seconds remaining, they're going to have to score fast and often to cut the lead and force overtime or win the game. Kick ball by Vernon. Very odd series of events happening here. Finally, a timeout called by Argos.
Timeout, Argos.
Just both teams there were wild with the ball for the last 15 or so seconds. Wouldn't you agree? And Argos's fan section having a couple people do the roller coaster.
All 4 of them.
Yes. They are sitting next to the JV girls, though, watching this basketball game. Minute 55 remains. LaVille trails by 10, being in foul trouble. What are you saying if you're Coach Duncan right now?
I think one of the biggest concerns for the last couple of minutes is, they've cut the lead down to 8. It's now 10 points that Argos has on top of LaVille. If I'm Coach Duncan, I need to tell my players, look, keep sticking to the basics, but you also need to worry about making good shots. The last couple of shots for the Lancers on offense have really just been desperation heaves almost.
Yes, they have, and they've been desperation heaves from the inside, which is not really chunking away at the lead. It's just 2-point shots. If you're trailing by almost double digits, which they are now, you really would like to try to cut into that lead with 3-point shots. Inbounding the ball is Stryker. Inbounded to Dunlop. Vernon playing solid defense. Very good ball handling skills by Dunlop. Passes over. Resposo with the ball. Back to Stricker. Those 3 have been the controlling players for Argos. Dunlap, Stricker, and Barlow. Out of bounds. Off the Dragons. Very uncommon turnover. Their third of the quarter. 1:34 remaining. Aish with the ball, fast-paced driving it. Trying to penetrate inside, doing a good job are the Lancers. Vernon up and in with the shot. Lead is back down to 8 for Argos.
Coach Duncan calling for a full court press of the Dragons.
LaVille doing a very well executed job of that. Getting across are the Dragons with 1:06 remaining. Time ticking away. LaVille is not fouling. Argos is in the double bonus. 56 seconds remaining. Inside.
Left open. Rebound collected by Zeiger.
Vernon passes it over to Tuttle. Tuttle's going to try to make a travel. Very unopportune time for the Lancers to pick up their 20th turnover of the game. And Shannon Miller will enter the game for Valerie Esposo. Argos leading by 8 with 46 seconds remaining. Foul before the inbounds on Vernon. Playing very aggressive defense. Just picking up her first foul of the game, actually. Talking with Coach for a moment. And trying to extend the lead is Dunlap. Shooting very well from the free throw line tonight for the Dragons, 4 for 5. 5 for 6 now, and she will have one more shot coming. 9-point lead for the Dragons. Shot is up. Toilet bowls around and in. 10-point lead for the Dragons, 44 seconds remaining. Vernon with the ball, driving it up. And it falls. Vernon scoring the last 6 points for the Lancers here. And a jump ball is called, but the possession arrow will keep it with the Dragons. 34 seconds remaining. LaVille trails by 8, and I believe Coach Duncan is calling a timeout. So it will be very interesting. Next year for the Dragons, they only have 3 seniors in the lineup. Caitlin Barlow, who has been a very key factor. Mariah Lionby, who hasn't played much, and Valerie Resposo, who has scored 5 points. So next year it will be a very close game, I predict. Even though Anna Barlow will step up being the new tallest girl for the Argos Dragons, 2 inches shorter than what I presume is her sister. Some scoring stats for you really fast. The top 2 scorers for the Dragons, Caitlin Barlow has 12 points, and Courtney Dunlap has done very well, shooting 6 for 7 from the free throw line. 19 points currently. That is impressive. Inbounding, though, will be Stricker. 34 seconds remaining. LaVille pressing in the backcourt. Looks like they're trying to trap instead of foul. 30 seconds remaining. Aish probably called that foul over Lucy Zeiger, who were both there. Aisha's second foul is committed. Dunlap at the line shooting 2 more free throws. And 7 for 8 on the night. Very impressive from the free throw line. She shoots and makes another one. 8 for 9 from the free throw line. She is a junior this year, standing at 5'9". Shelfie Zeiger drove all the way, missed it. Foul on the floor. Tuttle will go to the line shooting a 1-and-1 with 19 seconds remaining. The foul is committed on
22,
Kendi Binkley, her second. Foul trouble has not been apparent for the Dragons at all. Macy Stricker and Caitlin Barlow do have 3 fouls, but those are the 2 highest fouling players for the Dragons. Off the mark with their first is Tuttle, and LaVille called with another foul. Cannot tell you who that one was on. That will be Shelfie Zeiger's 4th. A lot of foul trouble playing out here for the Lancers. Lucy Zeiger, Shelfie Zeiger, and Jessica Tuttle all have 4 fouls. So off the mark, though, is Stricker. Her first free throw attempt of the night was off the mark. 10-point game. Any final thoughts, Mr. Florian, as she sinks the second one?
Tough loss to a quality team. Driving hard, up and in.
Vernon being dominant for the Lancers in this fourth quarter. Getting the ball there are the Lancers with 7.5 seconds remaining. Still trying to cut into this lead, but going to be difficult, if impossible, to tie or win the game here.
7 seconds left, up and in.
Zeiger making a nice shot as possible foul there goes on Aish. Her third, 0.3 seconds remaining. So it will be these 2 free throw attempts, and that should end the ball game unless LaVille can have a last-second shot fall. The first one is off the mark for Kendi Binkley. She is 0 for 3 from the free throw line tonight. One more coming. 1 for 4. Inbound. And too much time taken with the dribble. 46-38.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Just game stats. LaVille won the fourth quarter. They tied in the first quarter, being Argos and LaVille, but LaVille lost the second and third quarter. Enough of a gap that they could not come back. I'll give you some stats, and that should wrap it up. LaVille had 22 turnovers. Argos had 17. A little bit of a tail there. LaVille just had poor shooting in the second and third quarters. Stats for our losing Lancers, unfortunately. Lucy Zeiger and Nina Sadak had 2 points each. Erin Aish and Shelfie Zeiger had 6 points. Jessica Tuttle had 10 points. And our leading scorer for the Lancers this game was Mallory Vernon with 12 points. She did a great job in that fourth quarter, scoring 8 points. Just a dominant Argos team, showing why they were ranked 6th in 1A. You have Kendi Binkley with 1 point. Shanna Miller with 2. 5 points going to Valerie Rasposo. 21 points to Courtney Dunlap, being the leading scorer for the game and the Dragons. And 12 points to Caitlin Barlow, being the tall girl for the Dragons, doing a great job underneath, making 5 very good layups, controlling the game. Any last thoughts or comments?
The Lady Lancers will be back in action against Culver Community on Saturday. That'll be senior night when we celebrate the career of Lucy Zeiger. The gentlemen for the Lancers basketball teams will be in action tomorrow. The JV and the varsity will take on Culver Community on the men's side tomorrow. So we'll have all those games for you on LVH1, the voice of the Lancers. It's a tough loss, but you know it's a very good effort against a very highly ranked team that's going to go far in this postseason.
I could not agree more. You want to sign us off?
That'll do it for us here at Dale Cox Gymnasium. Final score tonight: the Lancers fall to the Dragons of Argos in women's varsity action. Alongside Dennis Feitz, I'm Matthew Florian. So pleased you could join us here on LVH1, the voice of the Lancers.